Tables, Chronicles, it's logical. Tables, Chronicles, it's logical. Tables, Chronicles, it's logical. Tables, Chronicles, it's logical. In a world that's kinda cool, we keep our cool. Nice conversations when we about. Subscribe on Buzzsprout.
Got your attention now, don't we? This is the way. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night. This is Chabo's Chronicles back again. This is your usual suspect kidnapper speaking, KIDDNAPPA. And across from me is
Reality complex.
Yeah.
Real complex.
Yes.
AKA get your life in check.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's
Yes,
do
sir.
it. That's it.
What's going on?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, hello again, and thank you to Republic Union for the hats that you see us wearing, and also the Nara capsules, the ones for those who are ready to check on how they are in terms of their health, and they got all that your needs when it comes to checking what your body, your diet, and all of that is all about.
Health is wealth.
Health is wealth, and so shout out to Nara Shop, NARA Shop. .co.uk. So in terms of that, and Republic Union too for the hats. Anyway, back to it. It's another week, another coming of days. A lot of things has been going on. A lot of people have commented on what we're about to talk about today, really, because the last coming
Hot
of
topic of conversation,
there's been a lot of hot topics. Some people have decided to one person has decided to literally to literally just test the UK system in one way, and he actually managed to break out of jail or prison, should we say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The man,
Real life.
yeah,
Prison break.
real life prison break. The man got away, but for 3 days though.
3 days.
3 days. That's all he did.
But
3 days.
They checked how we got away straight away, though, innit? Since it was
They knew that man was gone within an hour's of time.
So let's go from the beginning. Let's share the story, just in case for those
Yeah.
maybe in different country.
Yeah. So that's why we're just touching on baseline, guys, but we're gonna get down to it. So this gentleman it's a prison. It's
So he's
for
an
Wandsworth.
he was an ex-soldier
Yes,
who's been arrested for terrorism.
They say it's terrorism.
So
But
he planted the fake bomb, didn't he?
yeah, they say he planted a fake bomb, but I think it's just a prank that he was doing. I don't think he doesn't look to be as serious as they say he is. To my take, anyway. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because if he's a terrorist, really, he should have a record of terrorism in his blood. You know what I'm saying? We should know.
That part might be the media just trying to make the most of the story.
Yes, that's one side of it. There's one side of it is the media. The other side of it is if this guy is really a terrorist, why is he first in a category B prison? A category B prison is less than a category A prison. So for most people who are listening, we're in the UK, and we have the prisons in the UK have categories which are alphabetical order basically, and I think it's A, B, C, D. I'm not sure how far it goes, but I think it's A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
But,
so you're maximum high risk.
So if you're maximum high risk, you're in category A. That's a place whereby you would not dream about escaping it. But then again, as I've seen in documentaries that I've watched before, and even as seen as this guy, what he managed to do is he managed to escape from a category B prison. The fact that how he actually did it just goes to tell you that, you know what, it's only a conditional situation if you really believe in the condition that you're in. You know what I mean? Most of us were addicted to watching Prison Break. You know what I'm saying? And that was based on a tattoo on what's his name? It was in his whole body. Wentworth Miller. That was it. That's his. I think that's his real name.
His real name.
Yeah.
Wasn't he dating Mariah Carey as well?
No, he's gay.
Was the main character?
Yeah, Wentworth Miller.
So who was dating Mariah from that show? So there was a rumor that
I don't think any of them. Because
there's two in it. They were brothers in it, right?
Yes, there was two brothers, but I think at that time Mariah Carey was with what's his name? Nick Cannon.
Nah, before that.
Was it?
Yeah, before that.
But let me check because I know anyway.
Anyway, just no sidetrack.
Wentworth Miller is the main guy. Wentworth Miller, yeah, that's the guy, and I think I'm pretty sure he's the guy who was tattooed up for the prison escape thing. Blah blah blah. Do you know what I'm saying? But long story short, this guy is in Wandsworth prison, and he gets in the back of a lorry or a truck, as some of you depends on what part of the
Yeah, so he was in her music video.
Yeah, he was in a video. Yeah, that's how his face was all over the place, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, where was I? So the guy he's in Wandsworth prison, a category B, which is a little bit less than a category A, which is category A being a high risk prison, and this guy is in a bit of a less. It's less of a prison. It's still a prison anyway. Let's put it that way. But he should not be able to escape. That's the main thing. And how this guy managed to do it is he got into the back of the lorry, which some countries call it a truck. So he got to the bottom of it, tied himself in there, and as it drove out of the prison, it was a food delivery. As it drove out, they normally have a procedure that they have of checking the person to check if everything is okay. Either they missed it or they knew what was happening. Gentleman got away. And they alerted the police an hour after, knowing that this man has escaped. And if you see how he escaped wearing like a chef's.
Yeah, he was dressed up in the chef.
Yeah,
he was working in the kitchen, wasn't he?
Yes, he's working in the kitchen. So that's how he managed to get into it. So the question is, because he had big brown boots, steel cap toe brown boots, and then he had a red and white trousers and a white shirt like a chef. Tied himself under the truck. The truck has already driven out and he's got away. By the time they stopped that truck to find out what's going on with it, he's already gone.
Long gone. Yeah,
gone.
So he tied himself underneath the truck with bed sheets that had clips on them, right?
They say it's bed sheets.
The material. What they're saying, the material was bed sheet. Like
They tied it pretty good. So he's pretty fit because obviously he was in the army.
He's ex-soldier. He knows how to tie.
He knows exactly
the right background to maneuver and figure out stuff.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So the gentleman, and apparently there's one or two people who've come up on TikTok saying that we're in prison with him, and he said he's gonna be famous. Watch him.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what he meant by saying that, but he became famous for escaping prison. But the thing is, it's a category B prison. You've escaped from it, and then boom, he was missing for 3 days.
Yeah.
And people were saying he was in Iran.
Yeah, they figured out that he was missing at 8:15, and then by 8:39, 8:40, they'd stopped the van en route, and by that time he's gone.
He's already long. Yeah.
So God knows where. I wonder, because the show, if you guys go online, you can see a map of the route of the delivery van and what route it was going across. So from point one to another, by the time, so that's a time frame of 20 minutes or 25 minutes, within 25 minutes, he had already
disappeared.
Moved. And the what's interesting was the delivery van was still on the move.
He was still on the move and he wasn't nowhere to be seen.
So yeah, how does he figure out at what point he's gonna move? So he must have known the time frames of how long it will take them to figure out it's going, to how long it will take them to stop the truck, and he obviously managed to.
It's interesting.
Move in between.
It's an interesting thing because when you look at it from that perspective, it's like this is supposed to be impossible. It's supposed to be impossible for him to be able to break out of the place in the first place.
But another thing they're saying is that, well, one thing, now that they've got the investigations team on it, they've got the guy that was head of national crime or ex-head of national crime investigating, and they found that 80 people in the prison cancelled their shifts on that day, so it was understaffed. And so what they're saying is that it was 60% staff, or 60% of the posts were filled, which meets the just above minimum requirement. So they're saying technically they weren't understaffed, but there were 80 people did cancel their shifts that day. So that's questioned, how much of a risk there was. And they were saying before that there were warning signs that people have investigated that prison before and raised that, it's a risk because some people were not trained adequately and so forth. So
that's a typical like,
I think it's
a problem when it comes
to governmental services.
Yeah,
you're always going to get those types of issues, understaffing, training issues, because you have to get people in very quickly.
It doesn't matter where you go.
They got past security clearances themselves, like DBS, probably enhanced that standard of.
So DBS is a criminal check if you have a criminal record. So obviously you can't work in some of these systems like the hospitals, and you can't work in the prisons if you've got a criminal record XYZ. I think it hits up. I think
it depends as well. Nowadays, it just depends on the crime. Because it used to be like a flat no, but now they're seeing that actually we need people, so we can't be too picky about who we hire and who we don't hire.
So basically, if you're going to commit a crime that won't come back and haunt you.
That's got nothing to do with your future goals.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So But the thing is, so the interesting side of this thing is because this guy went missing because was it on was it Thursday, Friday? No, he left. I think it was on Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They found him on the Saturday. Now, the funniest thing that for me was.
Do you know where they found him?
I'll tell you. This is exactly what I'm headed to. Because I was driving. It was about 8 a.m. in the morning. Right. So I never knew this place is considered Chiswick. But if you're driving from Hammersmith, driving towards down to, I don't know the name of it. I'm not sure what road the name of that road is. But there's a roundabout. There's a Fuller's Brewery.
Oh yeah.
So you see that Fuller's Brewery.
Yeah.
So I was driving past that particular location. That comes under Chiswick.
Interesting.
I didn't know that because here's the thing. For me, as I was driving, I remember I was following somebody else, and I was driving. I called him up, and I was like, "Yo, why is there police by the brewery?" Because that's what I was trying to understand. Why is there so much police by the brewery? And this is like 8, 8:15 in the morning, and I couldn't work out what it was. So I get going and doing what I'm doing. I got indoors. I sat down, switched on the TV, put the news on. And when you're sitting down, I was drinking a cup of tea at the same time. But you drink a cup of tea and you're watching the TV, before you know it, a bit of sleep hit me. But I woke up around 11:30 in the morning. And as I woke up, remember I was watching the news channel, that's why the news channel is exactly what I left running. So in the background, I'm hearing that, they found the gentleman. His name is Daniel Khalife. And I was like, huh? I was like, hold up, they found him. Where'd they find him? Chiswick. And I was like, okay, so where Chiswick and Wandsworth Prison is, it's not too far. It's not too far of a mile. It's not far.
No, it's not.
It really is not far.
No.
And for somebody who they're saying is a terrorist and XYZ, because most people were saying that, this guy must be in Iran or he's up there being taken care of in XYZ. They were like, he's probably left the country already.
It's blown out of proportion,
It definitely was.
Those things in the title, Prison Break and terrorists, like the world just runs riot.
Do you know what I mean?
Stories,
Yeah. So it gets interesting because I'm thinking, hold up. So that time I'm looking at these police, they were really just going to bust this guy wherever he was staying and in that particular place. And I looked at it, I said, man, that's crazy. It's crazy. Like, no. It's how many miles is it? I'm trying to check the difference in mileage between there and where they caught him. But it's interesting, man. It's funny. But now the gentleman, obviously, they've arrested him and they've taken him now to a Category A prison. Category A prison being, that's like a supermax prison now. And he cannot be considered to be like, this one I don't think, well, I wouldn't even say he won't be able to escape, because if it's time for you to escape and you figure it out, there's always somebody in this world that will always break a boundary. Because even in the US, they have a guy who he's a Brazilian fella, I think it was. He was arrested. He's pending charges of murder, but he managed to literally stretch his arms and stretch his legs and literally climb out of the location he was in and escape. I think he was gone for like 2 weeks. I'm gonna give you the full feedback, but I think it was 2 weeks that he was gone for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then you've got this guy that's gone for 3 days.
Yeah. So looking at the distance, by car it's 34 minutes, and that's 13 kilometers, I believe. 13 kilometers by car. Walking, that's like 1 hour 59 from Wandsworth Prison to the brewery. Yeah, the Chiswick Brewery. So it's 13 kilometers he's made it from, But it'd be interesting to know, like, what was his what's his story, like, what activities, what did he do? So, like,
that's
good to hear.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have his
like what road he went down, where did he stay over those 3 days? Did he stay outside? You know what I mean?
Because he had to change of clothes as well, didn't he, when they arrested him? He had to change of clothes because he looked like he was wearing shorts or something when you see how he got caught, type of thing. So it's like, okay. So it's like, mate, you really this one you did well, but you didn't do well because you only spent 3 days. Most times what I was expecting, and I think I guess it's probably me who was also a bit excited, because I was thinking it would be nice to actually see. I wouldn't say it would be nice, but because he hasn't killed anybody. Let's say that first, but because he's actually pushed the system this far. We want to know exactly how far could you have taken it to, given the opportunity to. Because back in the day,
it'd be difficult because he's in the city. Because he's so integrated in the city, it'd be hard for him to get a house unless he had outside contacts and someone already had a safe house for him. It'd be near enough impossible for him to go to a hotel under fake name because they'd see his face. Because I'm sure that's part of the protocol to roll out wanted to the hotels and stuff like that.
It goes to the hotels.
So they would have probably checked. They would have canvassed the area, gone to all this. So it would have been near enough important, unless he stayed outside, like in some sort of park, where people don't really check that much. Like maybe Richmond Park, maybe it's got like wild.
Well, that's where they were doing the whole search with the helicopters initially.
Yeah, that's what you would think someone would
go. Because he's from that region.
Yeah, because there's no way you're going to get into a hotel, or you know what I mean? Because you're so in the city, you'd have to go out of London to
he's
really
in the
stand
city.
a chance.
He's an inner
and
city
then, like
boy.
you say, try and get out of the country. But then obviously they'd have all of the airports would have a red alert. So all the CCTVs, near enough impossible.
If you've ever used Luton Airport is the most interesting airport for a while. I've never seen it at Heathrow anyway. But when you're at Luton Airport, when you're going you're going to be using it soon anyway. So when you're up there, you'll see they got cameras pointed down at every single person that's walking in, and I was like, damn man, you cannot escape it.
You need that stuff at airports, man.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things whereby where are you gonna go? But because my thing is,
I think the only way you get out is if you knew someone that had a boat or was doing, like sending cargo somewhere. You'd have to jump in a cargo or a lorry, jump in a compartment. Like when they smuggle people, you'd have to have a people smuggler to get out.
There is. For those ones,
you couldn't go through any official channels.
But it would be difficult for you to go through the where cargo is coming through because you're going to be in a container.
So you'd have to risk because it goes through the scanner, doesn't it?
Not only does it go through a scanner, but a container is lifeless. You go through a container, you're.
But this is why you'd have to have state of the art. So you'd have to have someone that because you know how they do. They put like they create like a whole separate box, and then they would
consider toilet, air,
like a block on. So to defy heat detection, you put like some sort of cooling system to freeze like a layer of cooling around the box that you're in, so that when something scans for heat, like it doesn't pick up the heat.
They'll figure that out to some extent, but most of the time when they're shipping things out, they very rarely go into that depth because they're shipping it out.
Through, so because I think what they do is they do random stop checks, don't they? And then if it's a big item, if it's because they know the typical trend of how people hide stuff, like what type of cargo they tend to. They identify certain types of cargo that are more likely to have something in them, and then they go across that massive ramp in and then that has like a massive X-ray machine. Because of time, they can't X-ray everything.
It's not everything, and that's the main thing.
Like I'm saying, it's only like certain things that they would pick out.
The main thing.
Just like when we go through airport, they will pick certain people out of the line to go through the personal search or whatnot.
And they use dogs. They're using dogs nowadays anyway, so that's another key thing. You know what I mean? They're using a lot more dogs on most of those. I mean, if you're in line in an airport, they have a dog that will come up and sniff and check.
Yeah, sniff. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when it comes to shipments always look at the shipment that you got going out. A lot of people have cars. If it's cars and stuff like that, they look at the car, see what kind of car is it. But and as well, nowadays cars have they can sense where the car is to some extent, unless somebody has deactivated
you mean the tracker?
The whole tracker and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Depending on the car it is, because most people who are going to ship out a car that's stolen, it's going to need to be a car that's worth a couple of 100,000. You know what I mean? It has to be a bigger car. You know what I mean? It has to be a car that's worth the money, worth your time. But a human being going in a box to leave this country is you worry about a human being coming into the country, not coming out of the country. You see what I'm saying? But this guy, for me, the thing that really gets me is the fact that they said he's dangerous, he's the X, Y, Z. And he managed to get away, and he got away, and they were busy saying, Iran and all of this. And I'm like, all right, cool. So does that mean that Iran's going to come and rescue him? Because you can imagine, if you're talking about Iran, that's a whole government. That's a whole different load of money.
If he was a terrorist, they have terrorist cells, don't they, in London? And these terrorist cells have certain safe houses where they all live together. you know, and they might.
Belmarsh.
Yeah.
Belmarsh prison. That's category A. That's the number 1 supermax prison.
But I mean, no, in terms of these cells, the terrorist, not cells as in prison cells, as this is what they call the terrorism groups, isn't it? When they split off into different sections, and they have houses that they live in together. And then, so for him, if he was part of a terrorist group, he'd be in communication with them, and he'd have like known addresses of where other terrorists live, and then they would hide him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's another thing because
basically I'm trying to say he'd have some help.
This is the grey area.
Jones,
that's the grey area for me, because I'm thinking to myself, if this guy is as dangerous as you say he is, fair in, farewell. But the big BUT in this one is he's not as dangerous as you made him to be, because he escaped in sheets. Bed sheets is what he used to get under the truck that's delivering food, and got out and then got away. And he only went 6.7 miles away from where he was initially. That's where they found him, 6.7 miles away from where he was living, where you had already put him in. But you see, the funny thing is, when they put him now, when they arrested him, he's now a big boy.
Yeah,
his profile has already shot up, because he's now.
He did say he's going to be famous.
Yeah, he did say he's going to be famous. One of the guys who was on TikTok saying that, when I met him, he said he's going to be famous, and he couldn't work out what he meant by being famous. Now that he's seen what his situation was, boom, yes, you are famous. But your fame now is, because I mean, the thing is, a lot of companies who are filming movies and stuff will be curious to know, what's your story? How did you do it? What were you thinking? How did you get it? But they're not going to allow that to happen, because
the government will try. For now, it's an ongoing investigation.
You see what I'm saying?
And not be allowed to give details. But probably later, someone will offer him,
unless he gets a release, because his court case is meant to be in November, isn't it?
Yeah. So after the whole thing's died down, then they could do a story on it.
That would be interesting, man. That would be like a Netflix. That would be a full Netflix story. You know what I'm saying? Because you manage, because normally we see people like El Chapo digging out and coming out of a prison, and I mean, those are the guys you're used to seeing getting out of prison.
But not in the UK.
But in the UK, you're hearing somebody actually got away from under the truck. And the truck, the thing is, the services system, for the truck to come out, they put mirrors in to check everything is okay. Nobody has escaped.
So no one did the mirror
check. Whether they did it or they didn't do it, the fact is the man got away.
Because even still, they should be checking for stuff like bombs and stuff under those cars, no? For government.
No, that's on entry. On entry, I believe they check it. On exit, they also the double check is done on it. Do you know what I mean?
So they does it say that the process is they check it on the way out?
Yeah. No. They were like, there's guys who were saying that, like, there's been times they don't really check underneath it. Because nobody expects you to escape, man. That's the thing. Nobody's expecting you to do it.
It's technical procedure.
It's procedure because they know somebody can do it.
It's doable. So
you see what I'm saying? So you should be doing it, because and making sure that the job is done. But you gotta remember, these are places whereby prisons are places that they're used to seeing people attempting all kinds of stunts. So they're used to knowing that somebody can try and go under the truck. That's not new. Do you know what I mean? That is not new. So how is it this guy got away in the first place? Because this is the most obvious procedure. There's two things that's very obvious. Going under the truck, number one. Another one that is very obvious is when they used to send helicopters to try and see if they can get somebody out via a helicopter. Do you know what I mean? So that's why you have certain prisons that they have the wall they'll put in a particular way to make sure that it doesn't interrupt. You know what I mean? And what they had, the thing that has been causing the biggest problems for them now is the drones which are delivering drugs.
But the nets there now.
That's why the nets have been investigated, because the nets, the drones were the ones delivering the drugs to the guys who needed the drugs to smoke up and get high and whatever. And because prison also has its own little market of people who are who are doing business and ready to make sales. So when they come out, they know that they got their money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're busy calling people like, put this money in this account.
Made from drugs inside jail than
there is outside.
Else,
yes,
the inflation on it.
Exactly. Mad, yes, the cost.
The value is so high.
The simple cost that's basic on the outside world. What costs like 10, let's say 10, is going to be 100 or 200 plus, and you have to get the person to wire the money to this person's account to make sure that field is coming. These guys know what they're doing.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
The intricate system.
See what I'm saying? So I mean, you're there. You're not there because you're selling like candy down the road. You're there because you've outsmarted a few things to some extent.
Some people actually go in jail just to do that, isn't it?
Some people go in there to get more courses on themselves. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the gentleman, but you see, when they took him into court now, I believe it was Saturday or Sunday, they took him into court now to make sure that they let him know what's up. Even the police that took him there, you can see, yeah, this one you ain't breaking out, this one, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one to say anything can happen, but this one you ain't breaking out, my guy.
Which one are they bringing to now? What?
Belmarsh, category A. Yeah, straight there, man. Where else would they take him to? Because that's the only place where, Belmarsh has a garden. And the garden, you look up, you can see the sky, but what's up there? You're in a cage in itself, and that's a garden. There's a gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he's been there for a while. And he's a guy who was actually hanging around with the very big names. That's why he's been put there, because they were like, this guy can actually pay his way out of the situation that he's in. That's why they put him in the cage garden, whatever. And it's on YouTube, and he talks about his whole period of time and some of the things he was doing. And he has a lot of money. He has a lot of money, and he's up there just can't do anything because there's a cage on the thing, and it's Belmarsh.
Cage in the middle of the garden.
So basically, you go out for fresh air. They open the garden for you to go, and you're in a cage.
Oh, the garden is in a cage.
The garden is in a cage, basically. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? So the basics that we all see, oh, this is basic, blah, blah, blah. Nah. You know what I mean? But that guy, I will get his name as we are having a conversation, because I'm going to have to Google it to check it. But he's on YouTube. And, you know what I mean? He actually, because they grow stuff up there. They grow cabbages and stuff and all of that, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that.
Get some air in this. So yeah, so that's that one, Mr. Daniel Khalife, and so he's up there. Even when they were escorting him, they had police cars following him, blah blah blah. Like, mate, yes, you became famous for sure. Do you know what I mean?
One line, was he?
He wasn't saying nothing that. I mean, he said exactly what he was going to do. You know. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to us and any channels that we have, send us a message on Instagram and tell us what you think about this story. Tables Chronicles on Instagram. Just send us a message and tell us what you think of this whole story. For those that are failing to understand, I mean, those who are trying to understand some of the things we're saying, a Category A prison is a supermax prison. Category B is less of a high secure as a Category A would be. So if those guys go in the garden, they're in a garden that has no cage, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so that's very interesting story and quite crazy of a situation and a scenario.
It's a bad situation.
Yeah, I mean,
like, you just don't think that nowadays that stuff's going to happen because of all the CCTV that the city has.
But I'm also questioning: is that what actually got in court?
What CCTV?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be interesting, but I guess they would use multiple tools to hunt him down, isn't it? So they'd use the CCTV, they'd use alerts. Yeah, so they look at it from case to case basis. So they will look at, one, is the dog in actual danger? Two, they will try to stop it from breeding. So that means they will do an operation on the dog. So it can't breed, so they can't make more. Neuter the dog. And then three, like we spoke about the muzzle, they put a muzzle on the dog rather than just rolling out, just killing all of these dogs and getting rid of them. So that's one thing they said. And then there's the interesting debate about, who holds responsibility here. Should it be the owner? So should we be saying, like, the owner should, because with this case, it was an 11-year-old girl that got attacked initially and two other guys. And then they're saying that they arrested the owner for owning a dangerous dog under the Dangerous Dogs Act. So the question here, like, because there are a lot of passionate dog owners out there who have these XL bully dogs and they're part of the family, they've never attacked anyone in their lives. So then they're saying it's obviously unfair for their dog to suffer and their family to suffer and have these dogs taken away from them due to the fact that one owner cannot keep his dog under control. So I guess what the question is it down to the owner to make sure that, the dog is in a state of mind where it's not going to be vicious, not going to be harmful, or would you say that even if the owner does that, there's still the inclination that the mentality of these dogs is just like that, you know?
I
And
think
it could happen random.
I think personally, this dog thing, like I said, but we're going back to Midlands still. But this dog thing, if you have a dog, yeah, you're responsible for the dog. Yeah, if the dog does stupid, you should be able to know exactly what dog you have and what are you doing with that dog. However, we have a culture of people who they start letting the dog become to be seen as a vicious dog that you can't mess with me.
So you think it's like a ego thing?
It's an ego thing for a lot of people. It's an ego thing. It's ignorance as well as that on top of it. And it's also very dangerous, highly dangerous, because everybody's being affected by it. The dog is being affected by it because as soon as the dog starts harming somebody else, the next thing what's going to happen to that dog? The dog's going to be killed. That's one. Two, you have somebody who is injured by a dog. That person will never be the same when they see a dog close to anybody else. They'll always be in fear because of what happened to them in the past. You see what I'm saying? So it comes down to everybody involved there. Why do you feel the need to show off with your dog? There's some parts of the world whereby if you have a dog, you let it out in the nighttime because anybody tries to come and do anything funny around your property, the dog is responsible to protect you.
Yeah, that's what I think one of the good things about having a dog is for security. As a family, to protect your family, you can have it in the garden, like in a kennel. So anytime an intruder is likely to come to the house, they will bark to alert you. So it's not even to do with violence, it's just having another sort of system in place. And then that will hopefully deter the person from trying to enter the property if that was their intention.
Exactly. And that's the thing about these dogs.
Like we mentioned, the use of dogs at airports, they can also be useful in smelling out drugs.
It's the smartest dog. Dogs are always even getting people.
There's good uses for having these actual dogs.
Yeah, dogs have always sensed people who are not. The dog's like, it starts barking and it senses something's not right with you. People have been checked and said, you've got a problem. You've got cancer and stuff.
They have senses that can
they've
pick
got
up
senses.
On certain
They're smart. You know what I mean?
So if you're a policeman walking with a dog, the dog can smell if someone's actually dodgy, you can smell the fear of the person.
If you got drugs,
and then that just kind of alerts that officer to pay more attention to that person. Doesn't mean you're going to arrest them, but it kind of alerts him to there's something not quite wrong with that person over there.
That's a madness.
So you're looking at using the dog's senses to help ourselves as humans. But then, when you're looking at the psyche of dogs, because the thing is, like, all of these different dogs have different mentality, like different psyches. You can say they're almost human in that sense, where they have different ways of thinking due to the breed that they are. So like some dogs are better than others at certain things. So
Alsatians,
like
especially.
You have a certain type of dog that's good intelligence for sniffing, another for chasing and running.
They train them as soon as they start training, but Alsatians are the ones which are top of the notch police dog.
They're the best all round.
Yeah, they're all around. They're like, yup. They take everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then like for violence and stuff like that, you have the pit bulls and Rottweilers and things like that.
Yeah, see, now these ones are now all muscle and all, what I mean? They've got the mouth that bites and never lets go. And it's like, if you had this as a security dog and you had the same mentality as an Alsatian does, you're looking good. But then they're not the same. Clearly, I mean, dog lives are also very different compared to humans, we're the same thing. We're all different people everywhere you go, the same way you get with animals too. So it's a crazy one, but that's the name of that story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, there's all these different types of dogs, and even like the dogs that save lives. Is it the Labradors or the golden collie retrievers that you use them in the mountains for rescue mounting? So they have like a general caring personality where they want to save and preserve human life. So they use them when they want to rescue people. Like, so they will carry them on the sleighs and drag them out the mountains for the rescue mounting.
I know they use. I used to have a dog with somewhere, and that was used for pulling bobsleigh. And huskies. Huskies are also used for pulling bobsleigh. Did I say bobsleigh? Did I say bobsleigh? What do you call it? The
sleighs.
The sleighs, yeah. I said bobsleigh. Can you imagine a dog on a bobsleigh?
Yeah,
that would be interesting, man.
Yeah.
But listen, let's come off this dog thing for a minute, man, because listen, we're in Midlands. Let's talk about Midlands, yeah.
Yeah.
Leicester. That's the Midlands, right?
Yeah.
Is that East Midlands, isn't it?
Well, now
Oh.
you're asking.
It's one of those. Anyway, East. No, I think it's East Midlands because it's that location. It's in the Midlands. Let's say this. We're not wrong in saying it's in the Midlands. However, this has been blowing up on the news as well, and it's a TikTok lady, and she has been doing her TikTok very well. Do you know what I mean? And she has over 100,000 people following her TikTok. She's been doing well, and this is the point where we go back to some of the episodes of our podcast where I've said that people have to start living their lives separately to others, especially parents, because we always say our parents want the best for us, but also they need to leave us to find our own way to some extent. So this lady, she finds her own way, follows her own dreams, and she's pursuing it. TikTok famous, blah blah blah. However, her mother's an older woman, starts dating a boy that's younger, a little bit younger than the daughter, and they get into some. She's a married woman. She's married to the father, and they're doing their own thing, and then she breaks that relationship with the younger boy, and the younger boy is obviously heartbroken. A heartbreak can make you do anything stupid. And I think he was out to expose the pictures and videos of what they were doing to the husband. And in this frame, despite the fact that the daughter wasn't a fan of the relationship, she took it to her own will to make sure that you're taking the piss out of my family. There's no way you can do X, Y, Z. And you're taking a mick to them. Yeah, you're taking a mick. No, let's even say it the best way.
No, don't swear.
I'm not swearing. Taking the piss is not swearing, is it?
Technically, I think
it's not swearing. It's not swearing. If you need to go
would
to
you allow your children to say that?
If they say I need to piss, they need to go to the toilet. but then we're not looking after kids. In the podcast, we haven't got kids here.
So they're swearing, then, isn't it?
I mean, you could say, okay, that's a you and I argument on that. But here's, a side note. But the thing is, so the lady anyway, they plan to. I mean, this guy wanted to expose the videos and pictures. By law, you can't do that because you haven't got the secondary person to allow it. I don't think this young guy knew this, but because he's so heartbroken and he wanted the money that he has spent on the woman back in his pockets, because he's furious about it. So the daughter comes in, she gets into it, and they plot a whole thing of getting him to get the videos off of him. And I think it was £3,000 sterling pounds that was put onto it. Long story short, they caused an accident, and there's 7 of them.
They were chasing them, weren't they?
They were chasing them on the car. Yeah, they had. So
but they didn't have help. They had these guys.
No, so what happened was it was 3 vehicles. So the 3 vehicles. So the first car was the gentleman who turned up to one of the supermarkets car park. He was waiting for them to come in, and they came in with 2 cars. So the 2 cars that came in was with people inside it already. So mother and daughter
comes with 2 cars.
The mother and daughter come in one car, but they bring another friend. The daughter calls a friend who comes in his car with another bunch of people. Okay. So altogether it was 8 people.
Okay.
Altogether it was 8 people in 2 different cars. Right? In them being in the 2 different cars, they've gone into it and they're driving through. They've gone down to the supermarket car park. And they've got there, and the guy realized, no, this was dangerous. He gets on the road to drive out, and he does that. As he's driving out, the 2 cars start chasing him, and he now makes an emergency call. He makes an emergency call and says, "I think I'm gonna die because these people are chasing me, and they're wearing balaclavas and blah. This is the situation." And it's a sad story because he's about 21. Yeah, about 21, I think he is, and he brought his friend with him to help him with this situation. Anyway, in the midst of this whole craziness that's going on, right? The car knocks into the guys in the first car.
So whose car knocks into it?
So one of the friends' cars knocks into. Yeah, he drives in. I think his name is Ramis. I'll get the names. I'll read out all the names because the case is quite crazily interesting. But so what it is, the car comes in and hits the car. The car goes into a crash. But remember, they were on the phone to the emergency services. So as they're making the call and everything is happening, everything is being recorded, or obviously because if you call emergency, it's always recorded, so it's an automatic thing. So anyway, car crashes, catches fire, dead instantly. 2 individuals, 2 young men, died just like that. One of them has nothing to do with what's happening. The other one is the one that said that, look, I'm going to release this video on XYZ. And I look at it and I think it's a younger guy, heartbroken, because I don't know what he felt the situation, God bless him. But now you've got the TikTok star. She's the one that set this thing up. And what they did, they drove on. The car crashed, and the car that hit them and the car that was with it, they drove on.
Wait for
they didn't wait to know what was going on.
She lied about it, didn't she?
No,
When she got questions originally.
Not even that. No, wait, before we get to the question, what they did, they went and parked their cars and walked around like nothing happened. And then they went home.
So
and
did they walk past the incident?
No. The incident happened on the highway.
Oh, so they parked off.
Yeah, so they drove out the highway and got to the location of closer to home, where home is basically. And then after they walked around, and this is the thing, technology, today's age, cameras are everywhere. So they walked around. There's a camera showing them walking around in the neighborhood with some houses and whatever the case. It showed them walking past. That's one. 2, when they were driving and thinking nobody's seen them, and when they were in the supermarket parked out, there's cameras looking at what they're doing.
Of course, man. Cameras are everywhere.
See, cameras are everywhere. You see what I mean? We're living in a camera-operated country, basically. Yeah. So, long story short, what do you call it? They go home, and then that's when now you have the part that you're saying that they were lying to the police, because the police come to their house and question them exactly where they were. And young lady, she's busy giving it, oh, I was here and I was da, 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 da. She's making up her own story. But there's a gentleman that was part of the whole thing. He got arrested as well. But he went in, and what he did is what people call snitching. He said exactly what went down. And because of that, he's the only one
that's going to get
walked.
a lesson.
And he walked
the whole thing.
He's free.
That's mad. And he was in the actual car there.
Yeah. He was one of the cars in there, and he said that this is exactly what was going on. But the thing is, the thing that I found hilarious was the man was saying how he was under the influence of marijuana. And I was like, mate, stop using weed as an excuse. Because that's what everybody always does. They use a form of something and say, oh, this is what caused that. This is what caused the other. It's like, mate, no, you are in the wrong crowd. And the lady, she had her own take on what she wanted to happen. Because she loves her mother and she didn't want it to go out to the rest of the family. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the TikTok stuff.
The affair that they were having.
Yeah, the affair she was having.
Was the lady married? Or she wasn't
she was a married woman.
Wow.
She was a married woman. She was married.
And what heritage are they?
They're Asian. I'm not
They
sure. I think it's probably Pakistani, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is, because the lady's name, her name is Mahek Bukari. She's a TikTok star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mahek Bukari. She's a
So
TikTok
this relates back to you saying that sometimes children got to distance themselves from what their parents are doing.
You've got to
remember I said it's not always in their best.
It's not always in the best.
That Ocean Gate thing, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the thing that's
when the son was probably not interested.
He's not interested, but he went to please his father.
To please the father, he went and done it. So
and then
obviously this lady felt some sort of responsibility to her mum to help her out.
In this situation,
even though she didn't even agree with the actual.
She didn't agree with it
to begin with.
Yep.
So
and the father has not seen anything. He's like, what's going on here?
Imagine that. I mean? Imagine you're the father now, and you get all these police turning up at your door, and then all of hell is breaking loose. Like, imagine what's going through your mind.
You know the victims. The victim. One of the victim. The victim. So there was 2 boys. One that was seeing the woman, and then the other was the friend that came to support him. He came in to support him. And the father was like, they just can't, it's not tallying to them because this is none of their business. And because of this, now they've lost a son just like that. You know what I mean? But now the thing is,
it's always the more innocent party that suffers the most.
And guys, another thing you guys need to know, because we're in the UK. UK has our law, when some people get sentenced to life, very few people actually do end up doing a full life. So the example is, This lady's name is Mahek Bukari, and the mother who's older, she's 46, 47. She got 27 years minimum. So her life sentence is over 15 years. But she got
It used
20.
to be 10, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah, I think now it's
No.
15. I think it's 15 now.
gone up.
Yeah, it's 15 minimum, or yeah, it could be 10. Actually, it's from 10 going up actually, because manslaughter is about 5, isn't it?
Roughly.
Yeah.
I mean,
So anyway, but we're not going to go into that
Yeah.
side of things. Man.
Yeah,
The
roughly.
thing is, the part I find interesting is the mother who's the mother got 27 years. Mother got 27 years. The daughter, the Mahek Bukari, the TikTok star, she got 32 years.
was that
minimum?
she lied?
Minimum. I'm not sure.
Or
No, but because
planned-
she's
bought the other guys,
she's
didn't
the brain. She's the
she?
brains
She's
behind
the
it.
planner, so
She's the brains.
premeditated
Yeah,
murder.
yeah. She's the brains behind
That's
the
if
whole
they
thing.
can prove that the point of the plan was to murder. Then it's premeditated.
She's basically the ringleader.
Yeah.
You know, she was handed down 31 years
So
and
she
8.
must
Oh,
have
it's
got done
31 years.
for conspiracy as well as the actual murder. There must be 2 charges.
Well, there's a whole bunch of charges which I just
yeah.
know. I just looked at it and I was
They
like,
broke down the whole. That's what they do. They break down the whole process.
they'll break down the
and
whole
then
process. Yeah.
Each part of the process, you get a charge for.
But the judge actually said that she's self-obsessed.
Because she
just,
has to be TikTok star.
She's self-obsessed in the sense that how far she took it with that's self-obsession, to be honest with you.
Yeah, she's doing it. Well,
Do you know what I
it
mean?
depends. It's debatable, you know. I don't always take what judges say as a pinch of salt, because sometimes that's in the title judge, so they're making judgments on the person's personality.
It's
but whether that comes into what happened in that situation is a different story.
The thing is, none of us will ever know. It's only them that have. They're the only people who were involved that fully have an idea of what's going on. Because the mom's name is Ansreen Bukari. She received a sentence, was jail for a minimum of 26 years and 9 months. But she's like 46, 47. So, like, what do you have to offer? And then there's another bunch of individuals here. So between the two of them is 58 years they have to do. This is the guy is called Rekwan Kawan. He got 29. He's 29 years old. He got 31 years respectively for 2 counts of murder. He got 31 years, 29 years old. So his life is just like, mate.
Comes out when he's like 50.
God knows.
50.
You know what I mean? And then there's a guy called it's Raees. Is that Raees or Reese? Anyway, Reese Jamal. He got 23. He's 23 years old. He got 26 years and 10 months. Right? These guys weren't playing when they said that. These are big sentences. You know what I mean? This here.
But you know what? Because they have balaclavas on, man.
Yeah, apparently, according to the emergency phone call, the guys have balaclavas on. According to
that's what shows premeditation.
No, the whole thing was even it's a following.
In terms of like actually going to do some sort of.
And the following.
If you bring someone and they're just there for presence, just to scare the person, that's different.
Yeah.
You might not have the weapons. You just come with backup, basically, for the situation.
Backup for the backup sake.
Because because he bought the guy who was the lover. He bought his friend, right? Just his friend.
He brought his friend for support. Because he wanted his money back that he spent on the woman. You know what I mean? And then she's going to call people up.
A pinch of salt as well, because he's literally blackmailing her for.
No, he was blackmailing her. He was in the wrong for doing that.
He's gonna obviously say stuff to try and make himself look better. And
of course.
Say, because of the money that I spent on. I take that with a pinch of salt.
The thing is, it doesn't matter
why. But
how wrong he was.
The point is that he got
he got killed.
He got killed in the process.
He got killed in the process of this thing. Yeah. And then there's this other guy here. He's Sanaf Gula Mustafa. 23 years. He's 23 years old. Was sentenced to 14
Why
years.
does it sound like there's a lot? How many guys was there in total that came free?
It was 8 people and 7 are sentenced. The one guy got away. He said everything.
That's a lot of guys, you know.
That's why I'm getting down to it. That's why I'm giving you the names.
That's a lot, bro.
That's why I'm giving you the names.
Initially, I thought, okay, maybe like one car of guys.
No. This thing is a group of people, man. Let me finish the names actually, because this is his name is.
Why do you need so many people for 2 guys?
Because she had people. We'll go into that in a minute. I'll go into that in a minute. So here, this guy is Sanaf Kula Mustafa, 23 years old. He's sentenced to.
But maybe that's why the judge said he's self-absorbed.
So yeah. Well, I mean, this is no. Let's finish this one first, actually. Then we'll get into it because so this guy and then there's a guy here. He's 28 years old. His name is Amir Jamal, 28. Was sentenced to 14 years and 8 months imprisonment. Yeah, and then there's this lady. This is the one. This is the one I found very interesting. Her name is Natasha Akhtar. Was sentenced to 11 years and 8 months imprisonment. Here's the thing: she was studying for a law degree. This particular lady. Now,
so she's just another friend that came.
That's another friend that came.
And she had got a female like why?
Did you know what I mean? And the whole thing is,
why do you need so much people?
All of them that came in to this whole thing, they all came in there because of what's the name? I forget the name again now. Mahek Bukari. She's the one that triggered every single thing else and let them know that, you know what, I'll mess you up, XYZ, blah 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 blah. And exactly what she said is exactly what she did. And unfortunately, 2 men are gone. And the 2 men that are gone, one of them was really not part of this whole. He just came in there for moral support for his friend who was attempting to blackmail. You know, he was attempting to black the lady because, you know, he felt heartbroken. Because heartbreak makes you. Your first heartbreak is always going to be. You're always going to be a bit of a donor for a time period. You know what I mean? And unfortunately for him, he didn't think wisely. And boom. And then the daughter took the mother's stress because they didn't want to.
Aspect of it,
No, it was silly. It was just silly because at the end of the day, in this day and time, for you to share a nude picture of anybody, you need to have permission from that person.
They've now
to
made
do
that.
It. That's a law.
An illegal thing.
That's a law. That's a law. You can't share pictures of naked people and you want to show off this. You know what I mean? No.
Yeah, they call it shaming now.
I don't know what they call it, but it's just not right. Period. Because at the end of the day, if somebody is sharing these things with you, you're supposed to respect it as a person. Do you know what I mean? If you really must, and I say to people, man, if you really must go and you want to see somebody naked, there's bars that have strippers that you can go and see people naked, and they won't have a problem with you having a look at them naked. But you shaming the person is just not right, despite the fact that you don't agree with what she did, or you're pissed off, or you seen that you spent a lot of money, X, Y, and Z. But the thing is, I also question is this woman, it was married. So her marriage clearly had some issues in there.
Yeah, of course.
So she ended up
cheating. He was a younger guy as well. So.
Cheating with a man younger than her daughter.
20 something.
He was 20. I think he was 18 when they started messing together, and they spent 3 years together.
Wow, that's an actual relationship.
You see?
So yeah, there's gonna be issues when you start breaking. Like that's how it is in relationships. Like don't get me wrong. Sometimes you can be amicable and you can both decide, oh, it's not working, let's call it time. But more often than not, there's always one party of it that gets hurt more than the other. Yeah. That's how it normally plays out.
It's a very sad. It's sad altogether because you've got a total of how many lives is that? 8 plus 2. No. 8 plus 2. 7 plus 2. 7 plus 2. That's 9. 9 lives are literally 2 lives will never come back.
Yeah. 2 lives never come back.
But the rest are gonna be scorned for life
over an affair.
Over somebody's affair that could have been dealt with differently. Do you know what I mean? And that's when I say, like, I mean, we're talking about dogs and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you know, the dog thing is one thing, but this here happened in the Midlands too. The Midlands, whatever water you guys are drinking in the Midlands, we all need to know. Because over here, we're drinking Saka water, as we're seeing on the video.
And the pH level
and the pH level is quite nice on this one here. And you guys in the Midlands are doing too much. Honestly, it's too much. Like doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter the culture. This is nonsense, man. And the fact that the daughter took it on board to take the stress.
It got way out of control.
Man, now
it was not needed. Like
31 years.
Got involved. Like
you're doing 31 years, man.
2 people's relationship.
By the time she started looking at a day out should be like a grandmother. She'd be in her 50s or something, man.
So how old is she?
She's 20. No, she's 20.
Late 20.
2, I think it is.
Oh, she's 22.
Yeah.
22. Wow. And she got 30 years.
She got 31 years and,
so
and 8 was it 8 months or 9 months?
Or something.
She'd be basically like.
No, she won't be
TikTok. You can't be doing TikTok no more. Yeah. So you know what's interesting? So
level.
You know what a lot of
she
people
did like makeup and all of that stuff.
She was doing clothing, makeup, everything. She was doing bro, to be honest with you, she was doing well as TikTok.
Yeah.
But she let the thing get to her, which she should never have let it get to her in the first place. And the fact is, your mother and your father are one people. Let them deal with their problems.
Life, yeah.
Because you were not supporting what the
She
mother
just
was
told
doing.
the father.
You would think that would be the normal thing to do.
Mhm.
But then again,
But then
you see
it's
people.
easier said than done.
It's
She might
exactly
want to be the one
because
to deliver that info.
she doesn't want to be the little blah blah
Well,
blah.
this advisor mum to tell her
You see
father.
what I mean? But there's a guy called the guy called Mohammed Patel. He said he said, man, this is exactly what happened. He said this is what happened. He didn't hide anything. And this is when I say some people, because a lot of people always talk about snitching and blah 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 this and you can't talk and this. So listen, if you're doing the crime with people, man, just know the outcome of
Someone
the scenario.
along the line's going to do that.
Know the outcome of the scenario, because what's going to happen is it's going to trigger you, and once it triggers you, my friend, you are going to be caught up, because it doesn't matter where this guy goes now. His name is always going to be well known. His face is known by some people to some extent, and it's not going to change. It's not going to change. It'll take a while for you to settle and be able to get over this whole scenario, because you happen to be there when this thing happened to these two people.
That'd be interesting to know what his life is like now, because some people have to go into witness protection and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds a soft one because it was relationship based. It wasn't like violent. Well, it ended in violence, but it wasn't necessarily a violent crime in the sense that the reason for it coming together was like gang orientated and whatnot. It's relationship based. So it'd be interesting to know, like, with the people that have suffered now, that are in jail and whatnot, and people that died, if there's any repercussions for him being the only one that kind of got out of it and has some sort of normal life.
I don't think there were, no, if you look at it really and truly, none of them, I think there's one of them that had some case or something going on. But if you look at the individuals and you look at them properly, none of them has any history of gang affiliation, or they have. I can't see the wrap up of why you chose this direction of things. But the only thing I can see is that they just thought, hey, fuck it, let's be here, bust it, let's be here. Do you know what I mean? And when that mentality kind of rides in, and you have a bunch of people who are thinking the same way, when you have a whole bunch of ignorant people at the same time, nobody has common sense. Even the one with the most common sense will be stupid at that second in time. And that's why you have this guy who actually just ends up saying that, this is exactly what happened, because I think he just figured, because most of them, like the lady,
that went in over our heads, man.
Like the lady who was studying to
playing where you got to release what's happened.
Yeah, I think that he just figured out this
this
position. I can't. There's nothing I can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if you look at the lady who got 11 years she got, or 11 years or 12 years, whatever she got. That young lady, she was studying to get into law. And
how did she get dragged into it?
How you got dragged into it?
But then she must have gone off the pretenses that it wasn't going to end in violence. Then maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows? The
problem
at judgment.
No, but what got her into problems was she didn't talk. She was telling a lie.
She started to lie.
Yeah, they were all lying. Most of these guys, most of these times when you look some of them, is because they were lying initially.
Yeah. Because
life sentence in the UK is not really a life sentence unless you don't, like, come on. You've got to. Most of you guys are extreme. That's why you've got to that point of minimum of this. Like,
yeah.
So, and that's the one that was Clapham, wasn't it? They told him, hey, you ain't coming out of prison. Where else are you gonna go? And his situation is, yes, you are ex-police officer, and you went and raped and killed an innocent woman, and you arrested her for no reason. You were not. You just took her in the car. You assaulted her by raping her, and after you did that, you now decided to kill her. And after you killed her, I think you even burned the body, or he tried to burn the body. And then the following day, he took his kids to the park to go and play. But he was also observed to check where the body
cover
is.
Up his track.
Yeah, just making sure that the body is deteriorating, kind of thing. And it's like, psychologically, your mentality is finished. But then the judge told him, he said, you ain't coming out. You're never ever going to come out. So he already knows, look, you're coming out here in one way. And it's not by walking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then you got these ladies. These ladies and gentlemen, they all know. Listen, the time frame of this and time frame of that is when you will come out.
Wow.
And life goes on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we had to get over a couple of topics that it's been going on in the news and stuff. Probably late, probably early. But thank you very much for listening to us. Make sure you check us out on the podcasts and on the YouTube too.
Yeah. Tables Chronicles.
That's it. Tables Chronicles.
Instagram Tables_Chronicles.
Yep.
Also catch me real_complex_media. Complex with a K.
Yep. And you can get me Kidnapper, KIDDNAPPA. Thank you very much for listening to us, and yes, feed us back. On the email, it comes under tableschronicle@gmail.com. The Chronicles is missing because we couldn't get that on the naming part. But yes, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night, good morning, and good evening. Cheers.
Tables Chronicles, it's logical. Tables Chronicles, it's logical. Tables Chronicles, it's logical. Tables Chronicles, it's logical. In the world that's kinda cool, we keep our cool. Nice conversations when we about. Subscribe on Buzzsprout.